Hey everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day on this terrible Wednesday on the Bitcoin market. Want to give just a real quick update on where we're currently at and where we potentially could be going. Um, as always, real quick, if you enjoy my videos, please feel free to like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so, and I really appreciate it. Um, so right now we have been in this down channel for quite some time. There's a lot of people that are saying, we're in a humongous head and shoulders pattern that kind of goes back from September um, through today, and this closing the right shoulder, and that's a potential possibility. But one of the more important things to take a look at here are the proverbial death cross, where the 50-day and the 200-day are about to cross paths, and that's a humongous bearish signal. And typically, what happens when these two red lines cross each other is we're expecting there to be a massive sell-off and the price of Bitcoin will go down. Now the question is whether or not that's a bear trap, and that's a very decent possibility. And I think the timing of all of this also is pretty important because there are some important crypto events that are happening in 2018. More importantly, that are happening both now and in April. Within the next 20 to 30 days, there are some major events that are happening, and they will likely have a huge effect on the price of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, being the king of all cryptocurrencies, as it controls the price for most of them. I say most because you do have some nuances out there, but the overall goal for most investors is to gain satoshis, and not necessarily care so much about the fundamentals of the companies that are behind some of these coins. Verge, for instance, not caring so much about what Verge is doing. They care about what their return on investment is going to be. So anyway, enough of that. What we're seeing, and I've been showing different charts over the last couple days um, on different currencies, but the one here on Bitcoin that we're looking at, again, we're looking at the 1-day chart, and I have highlighted a few specific points from my indicator. And one thing I want to point out is, if we do happen to get this cross to occur, and it does appear that it is going to happen, the RSI is still moving in a downward pattern, and I think it's going to continue moving that way, which is going to push the 50-day below the 200-day. But something really important here that I want to point out, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that we can see this a little bit closer, that we have attempted over the last week, we have attempted to cross the 200-day moving average. So one thing that we can see here is that we failed for 5 days straight to penetrate the 200-day moving average and move above it. And you can see that it happened here momentarily and it failed. And then when we tried to return above it, you can see we just had a doji where basically we had a lot of fighting at this particular area. You could see at this point the RSI even started to do an uptick, and then as we noticed that it was failing, we saw that we eventually went down. We went down below the 250-day moving average. You can see we had some failures on here as well. So the longer the time frame that we move below, the quicker and the more accelerated this 50-day moving average is going to move downward. You can also see, one of the things that I've talked a lot about are these diagonal patterns on this down channel. If we do happen to fall through this level, the question is, how far down is it going to go? According to this chart, we've got a small price range here. So if we move this to something a little more manageable, we can see right now we're almost at $8,000, and we've been sort of holding here at 8,000 for a while. And if you take a look at this, we're basically kind of holding in this particular zone. Now, I don't know that it's going to last much longer because in this zone we can only hold for so long before the bulls or the buyers eventually do give up. And if this death cross does eventually pan out and eventually does fall through, chances are pretty good. I'm going to zoom out here and kind of take us to the longer term chart. We're taking a look starting here in July. We hit it here, of course, on September 15th, which I speak about a lot, and then we touched it at the 6,000 mark. And my assumption is if we do the death cross, it's going to fall further below this. Now, how far down is it going to go? That's a really fantastic question. I really don't know how far down it's going to go, but assuming that we, take some of these indicators from our sideways patterns here, it could be as low as $5,500. That is a potential possibility. I think that's something we seriously have to consider. And then there's this mark right here, which is right around $4,000. So where will it go? Now, if it falls through this first downtrend line, we have to consider that it's going to continue down to the median, and the median is going to take us basically, let's assume it happens at this point here, it's going to take us down to the median, which actually does take us to the $4,000 mark. I think that's something we have to consider. I think it may be something that occurs at the same trajectory as when we had our movement down from 11,800 down to 6,000. I believe that it probably will follow a very similar route. So let's just take a look and see what this potentially would look like. That actually is a lot worse than I'm thinking. Probably will be more along the lines of this. So it would be a shorter. But if we do happen to start it from this point, it's a little closer to true there. So a lot of it's going to depend on this, but more than likely, if that does occur, likely we're going to find our way back above at least the 250-day, which, if we try and predict, and I'm going to try not to do this too much, but if we try and predict that the 200-day moving average stays approximately where it's at, that means we're going to return to, basically the level that we are right now. So I don't know that there's any good scenario because the whole community is looking at this death cross. They're expecting it to happen. And so everybody is in a frenzied sell mode. So, be careful if you are holding. If you were to have purchased a long time ago, this is still none of your concern because you're still, making decent profit, even though the price has gone down 60 to 70% from the all-time high. But these are some things that you need to be ready for. And again, I mentioned yesterday, I'm not the magic crystal ball, but I will do what I can to try and prevent you from making too serious of a mistake. So wanted to bring this up and kind of show you what could potentially happen if we do go past this death cross. I'm not expecting this dip to last a long period of time. I do expect it to be some kind of a bear trap. I don't expect that we're going to see a multi-year bear market just because of all of the developments that have happened to blockchain and Bitcoin over the last year. So I do think that generally speaking, longer term, of course, we're going to be moving up. But at least for this short term, I do think that this is a possibility that we really do need to consider moving forward. So I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to leave a comment below if there's anything that you want me to specifically look at. I won't argue with anybody, but if there's anything that you disagree on, feel free to let me know that also. Because like all of you, we're looking at these chart patterns together. And obviously, if there's something that I don't see that you do, let me know. And I'm more than happy to take a look at that. So hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, share, and hopefully we'll continue to grow the community to to be great. So have a good day, everybody.